hostilities. Despite initially pushing for a three-way summit with Putin and Zelensky, Trump is now suggesting it would be better if the two leaders initially met without him. The Russian president told Trump on Monday he was open to the idea of direct talks with Ukraine. But the next day, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov watered down that already vague commitment. On Tuesday, Macron called Putin a predator and an ogre at the doorstep and expressed the greatest doubts that the Russian president was willing to work towards peace. Finnish President Alexander Stubb said Putin was rarely to be trusted, adding he was skeptical about a meeting with Zelensky materializing. More high-level talks are planned for the coming days as questions remain. Back home in Nigeria, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has reportedly placed the former Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) Mele Kyari on its watch list. The former NNPC boss was placed on the watch list over the ongoing probe into the $7.2 billion refinery's turnaround maintenance. You will recall that the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Tuesday ordered a temporary freezing of 4 bank accounts linked to him over allegations of fraud. Multiple sources at the EFCC disclosed that investigations into the activities of the NNPCL during the period Kyari was boss reached an advanced stage last month after his close associates were arrested. Kyari's associate had been interrogated on how some funds earmarked for the maintenance of the country's refineries were managed. Documents and other necessary information had since been obtained by the crack detectives investigating how the fund meant for the refinery's turnaround and maintenance was used. Meanwhile, the Northern Ethnic Nationality Forum (NENF) has cautioned President Bola Tinubu and the All Progressives Congress (APC) against repeating the Muslim ticket, insisting that inclusivity is vital for Nigeria's stability and unity. The group made the call in a statement on Tuesday, signed by its leader Dominic Alancha, in which it argued that a balanced presidential ticket would strengthen national cohesion and electoral viability. The NENF said the choice made by the president in 2023 fueled religious tension and alienated millions of northern Christians. It noted that over 80% of northern Christians rejected the APC in 2023, costing the party Plateau, Benue, Nasarawa and the FCT, where several Christian politicians defected in protest. The forum also warned that repeating the same Muslim strategy in 2027 could prove costly for the ruling party. It further noted that even some Muslim groups had cautioned against retaining the same ticket, stressing that Peter Obi's sweeping victories in Christian-dominated areas in 2023 were proof that exclusionary politics fuels opposition. According to the statement, a possible Obi-Atiku alliance could dismantle APC support base if Tinubu ignores the warning. While acknowledging Shetima's competence, the NENF maintained that it cannot address the grievances triggered by the 2023 pairing. In a recent development, the new Nigeria People's Party (NNPP) has announced that its forthcoming National Executive Council meeting will produce far-reaching decisions as part of preparations for the 2027 general elections. In a statement on Tuesday, the party's National Publicity Secretary Ladipo Johnson said the meeting, scheduled for August 28, will address the party's Congress's National Convention, review of the recent by-elections and mass mobilization of new members. He noted that the NNPP will also deliberate on the ongoing constitutional review and take a clear stance on issues affecting Nigeria's democracy. Responding to speculation about the party's direction ahead of 2027, Johnson said the NNPP remains open to 3 options: 1. Forming an alliance or coalition, contesting the election independently, or supporting President Bola Tinubu for re-election. The party urged members to actively participate in the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise in preparation for mass mobilization. Several chieftains of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Ayedire local government area of Osun State on Tuesday defected to the African Democratic Congress (ADC). The defection was confirmed in a statement signed by Abosede Oluwaseun, Publicity and Organizing Secretary of the Omoluabi Progressives, a political movement backed by former Osun State Governor and current APC National Secretary Rauf Aregbesola. The new members were formally received at Oromiyo House in Osogbo. Leading the group was Tunji Ogunrinu, former vice chairman of Ayedire Local Council Development Area under the PDP. He attributed their exit to the PDP's failure to recognize loyal members and its continued internal wrangling. Speaking on behalf of the defectors, Honorable Abdul Ganiyu Akim, a former councillor from Ward 3 in Ileogbo, declared, "The people of Osun deserve better. No more suffering and smiling. We need a political home that listens to the people and empowers the youth." End quote. He reiterated the party's commitment to inclusivity and urged all members to take the ongoing voter registration exercise seriously. The defection is seen as another sign of growing discontent within the PDP in Osun State. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has permanently abolished the controversial 5% excise duty on telecommunication services, a move aimed at easing financial pressure on consumers and businesses in Nigeria's digital economy. The announcement was made by the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, Aminu Maida, during a media briefing in Abuja on Tuesday. Maida confirmed that the excise levy, initially suspended in 2023, has now been officially removed under revised national tax laws. The duty, which applied to mobile, voice and data services, the duty which applied to mobile voice and data services had sparked significant backlash from both industry stakeholders and consumer advocacy groups, who argued it would increase the cost of digital access and threaten the viability of telecom operators already grappling with high operational costs. President Tinubu first suspended the tax in July 2023 as part of a broader fiscal policy overhaul aimed at mitigating the impact of multiple tax burdens on businesses and households. The suspension came through a series of executive orders signed shortly after President Tinubu assumed office. The proposal was met with strong resistance from the telecom sector, with the Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria, ATCON, arguing that reinstating the excise duty would undermine service affordability and hinder sectoral growth. Now joining me to discuss these issues on the World News at 12, I have Ambassador Victor Atewe. He is a political and public affairs analyst. He's joining us all the way from Abuja. Good afternoon to you, Ambassador. Thank you for joining me today.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure whenever we get to have these conversations with you. Let's get right into it. The Northern Ethnic Nationality Forum. The Northern Ethnic Nationality Forum has cautioned President Tinubu and the APC against repeating the Muslim ticket in 2027. They're saying that there must be inclusivity and that many Northern Christians were not happy with the APC with the Muslim ticket. They're saying, well, there's nothing wrong with Vice President Shettima, but he must go in 2027 for the APC to show that inclusivity. Do you agree with this assertion, especially since there's been several talks of Shettima being replaced in 2027?
To be honest with you, I think this is not what Nigerians need now. Having a Muslim ticket or Muslim Christian ticket. I mean, we once had a Muslim ticket during late Buhari, and of course Oshibajo. What changed? Nigerians were complaining, but now it's getting worse. So I don't believe that Nigerians or well-known Nigerians should be thinking in that light at the moment, because Muslim or Christian does not know, the economy does not know either you're a Muslim or you're a Christian, or you have a Christian or Muslim market or a Muslim Christian market. What we should be looking at as a country and as elders or as stakeholders in this country, what we should be looking at is how to get the right people to govern the affairs of our state or our country, as it were, to put policies that would reflect, the will of the people, and of course to help to elevate the livelihood of the Nigerian people. Because as it stands now, I mean, the economy is biting hard, even with a whole lot of money that's been saved and all that. It's not reflecting in the common man, in the lives of the common man. So, I mean, coming with that ideology, for me, I think is just a way to derail Nigerians from the real subject matter on how we can, focus on how to better the lives of Nigeria and, bring people out of poverty, because people are plunging into poverty by the day. Even with those, I mean, you saw the report that came out and by the U.S. Report from the U.S. By the U.S. saying that the 70,000 naira is not sustainable because of the devaluation of the naira. I mean, as a minimum wage. So And mind you, many governors and many states are still yet to effect that 70,000 minimum wage. You saw recently where the retired police officers were crying and clamoring that the money they're paying them is no longer sustainable. So these are the issues where Nigeria as it stands now, Nigerians are crying than ever before. People are just lamenting. Everybody you see it. You walk on the street, you see people lamenting. Though coming with these Muslim ticket or Christian Muslim ticket, does that change? Does that change the price of the price of bag of rice in the market, or how does that affect the Nigeria? How does that affect the life of the common man on the street?
Yes, so we should be more concerned with competence, right? But what about inclusivity? Aren't there Christians who can fill that position and actually perform well? And at the end of the day, they're not asking the president to step aside. All they're saying is be inclusive. Let it probably even be a southerner, or even if it's a northern Christian with a southern Muslim as president, a northern Christian as vice president, will foster inclusivity, and everyone in Nigeria will feel like they have a stake in the presidency.
We have a Christian Senate president. We have I don't know if it's a Christian or a Muslim. I'm a chief of staff. We have a Christian SSG. What has changed? Nigerians, we must go beyond this idea of using religion as a yardstick for competence, or as a yardstick to select our leaders. Yes, I'm not saying there are no competent Christians or Muslims, but I'm saying that should not be the yardstick for choosing leaders that should govern us moving forward, ends from 2025 or to 2027. It should be about competence. It should be about. Look at China. China is largely it's not a Christian state or a Muslim state, but look how rapidly they've grown. Look at the growth. Look at how technology has. How advanced they've gone technology. Technological wise. Look at how the country has changed rapidly and contending with the world power. So these are things we should be looking at. This is 27. Nigerians, we have to break out from this mindset. These are the religious games that our leaders play on us. And before you know, they'll throw in their own candidate who, in quotes,
you're saying
is a Christian or a Muslim, and we'll use that to appease to some quarters, and we would use that to blindfold the real question.
Ambassador Victor Atewe, you're saying this may be a ploy to force their own candidate on the APC in 2027?
Of course, yes.
Under the guise of inclusivity?
Yes. We all know what happened during the last administration, where at the point, the vice president, they have to rip him off. His office off the parastatals that supposed that there were. You saw the news that were under the vice president's office. When Nema was under vice president's office, they had to withdraw it because they felt that he had too much power and he was doing too much against the directive of the presidency. Not the president, but the presidency. So we saw what happened. And now, with the way the VP is just like the errand boy of the president. That is how they've conditioned it now. So the VP has nothing. He's just there figuratively, just doing the bidding of the president and singing whatever the president want him to sing. So I'm of the opinion, and of course I support any discussion or any drive or advocacy for a competent leader, a leader that is nation-centric, if there's any word like that. A leader that has the empathy of the people, a leader that listens to the yearning of the people, a leader that is ready to damn some consequences and put the Nigerian people forward first. Not a leader that satisfies some political class at the expense of the Nigerian people. No. So coming with the idea of we want Okay. Let's even leave the presidency. We have a foreign father that's governing the state. That is the chief security officer of a state in Nigeria. But what is happening is the life of the people in the state better off? Are the local government people being paid as when they're supposed to be paid? These are the questions we should be asking, and we're not asking those questions. So when they come with this narrative, just know that they're just trying to distract Nigerians and distract the youth from the real deal. So coming out with this ethnic narrative, this whole religious narrative, just because they want to drive an agenda. So
but no ethnic nationality should be feeling marginalized by the actions of people at the helms of power. The Northern Ethnic Nationality Forum is saying there are people who feel marginalized, who feel left behind, and that the fact that a Muslim ticket was fielded by the APC in 2023 cost the party Plateau, Benue, Nasarawa State, and the FCT. They're saying that in fact many Christian-dominated areas voted for Peter Obi, gave him sweeping victory, and that this politics of exclusion will continue to fuel opposition in the country. In fact, they went ahead to say if there is an Obi-Atiku alliance in 2027, it could dismantle the APC support base if President Tinubu ignores this warning. Is that something that you agree with?
I agree with the inclusion. I agree with the fact that they want, the Northern ethnic minority felt they need to be included. But the question is, with the ones that are in power, is the power being felt? I think in 2025, our focus should be on people, feeling people, regardless of their religion. Fulfilling people who are there to do the real job, who would go and feel the Nigerian pain and do what the Nigerian people want, not coming with this ethnic narrative, this religion narrative of coming to say, okay, yeah, we know it's as good as saying the Southern will say, oh, we want the Southern vice president. That's against competence. That's against people who can deliver. That's against against leaders who understand and who is ready to do what the Nigerian people want. That's against Nigerians who is ready to bring Nigerians out of poverty. That should be our focus. That should be our discussion. So, as much as I understand their pains and understand that they've been marginalized, they feel being marginalized. Yes, but also there's some part of the country or some ethnic group part of the country will tell you that they've been marginalized as far as they can remember. I mean, the Southeast will tell you that they've never been given. Okay, in this whole this administration, we have a Southerner, a Southwesterner who is the president. We have a Northerner who is the vice president. We have a Southerner, which is South person who is the Senate president. We have a Northerner who is a speaker. So they took the position of the fifth position, which is the Southeast, which is the deputy speaker of the House of Assembly. So these people would say that they have been more marginalized than any other ethnic group in the country. So when we look at all this, so what I think is, if we keep flogging this whole ethnic religion story or narrative being being sponsored by our leaders, I'm telling you, we're not going to get the desired change. We'll just keep running the same circle over and over again. I mean, look at countries that are developing. Look at countries that are growing. They don't even talk about this. Nobody cares about your religion. They think about your ideology. What are you bringing to the table? Do
Nigerian politicians have ideology, Ambassador Victor Atewe? Many Nigerians believe that all they're interested in is grabbing power, running with it, and taking their own turn to lead the country.
That is why Nigerians, you and I, Nigerians need to stand up and fill in people who have the ideology to lead the country forward. We come with a narrative like, oh, Nigerian politicians don't have the ideology. The question is, those who have the ideology, what are they doing? If you sit on the fence at this time, you are as good as those who are spoiling or who are spoiling the country. We need to bring feeling people. I mean, we have people who are coming out, not speaking for anyone now, but we have people who are coming out, feeling that coming out, you hear them on air, you hear them coming out with good. We need to start supporting them, yes. Politics is beyond speaking all the grammars and all that. It's about getting there and doing the job. But now we see these people, we know them, we hear them. It's our time now, we need to feel them in. And break up from all this, allowing people who are studying, mortgaging our on that of our grandchildren's generation future, mortgaging it and giving it to, before you know, if nothing is being done, Nigeria is being sold. We'll find out that we have a country where our children will no longer call their own.
Ambassador Tewe, while we're talking about the machinations ahead of 2027, the NNPP is reportedly considering a coalition. Now, Talking about the party's direction ahead of 2027, the National Public Secretary of the NNPP, that's Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso's party, Ladipo Johnson, said they will have a National Executive Council meeting on August 28th, and that they have three options. First is forming an alliance or a coalition. Second, they could contest the election independently, or they could spell support for President Bola Tinubu for re-election. Which of these options do you think the NNPP will actually go with, especially since there's been speculations of Kwankwaso joining the APC?
Okay. First off, I don't belong to the party. I wouldn't speak for the party. As the National Publicity Secretary has said, that they're looking at of course three options. I mean, in a meeting, from the body language, I can just only speak from the speculation, and of course from the body language you see from the NNPP's camp. It's just best for them, or my advice, or I'll just advise that it's best for them they support, they form a coalition, because form a coalition, because if the oppositions are divided, they can't unseat the present administration. That if that's their goal. But if they go in with the third option, they say it's supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which of course there's high chances of that, because where you have when there's a bag, to shut your conscience, you find out that they have no choice. Majority will have to tilt towards that end, because yes, Nigerians are suffering. There's no money in town. People don't even know where the next meal is going to come from. So that light, they might tilt towards that, because of course he will, he will have the money. Dictates what happens. So that's the politics we're playing at. Of course, you can see that there are a lot of, harassment, intimidation using the state actors or state tools to intimidate oppositions. That's been playing out. But I think that the NNPP will come up with a good resolution. I hope so, for the interest of their party members, and of course for Nigeria at large. See how they can merge forces with the coalition to save Nigeria. Because if Nigeria breaks, or if Nigeria collapses, trust me, we're going to have a world. There's going to be crisis in the world. We're going to have the highest refugee crisis ever witnessed in the world, because the world won't be ready, or Africa would sink, and the world will be ready to take in the refugees that will emanate from Nigeria. So we just can't afford for Nigeria to collapse.
We really cannot afford for Nigeria to
come together and come up with a plan on how to take Nigeria. How to save Nigeria from where it is today. So I can't speak for whatever decision they want to come up with, but of course, having let the Nigerians know their stance, Nigerians can only hope that they support the Nigerian people to give Nigerians
Would you be disappointed if they go with the option of supporting President Bola Tinubu for 2027?
I will not be disappointed. That's a statement for that. That's the behavior of a politician.
Okay, do you think that will guarantee President Bola Tinubu's victory, seeing as Kwankwaso came forth in 2023? Can he consolidate that his Kano Kwankwasiya base for the president in 2027 if he does support him?
It's going to add more feathers to him, to the presidency, and of course you know that Kano is a very strong hold in the northern region. So them having, NNPC supporting him come 2027 is going to be a big boost for them. So it's going to be a very major boost for them. And the Kwankwasiya movement is a very strong movement, and then it's just going to be like it's going to give them a glimpse of a green light, come 2027.
All right, then let's quickly talk about the EFCC placing Mele Kyari, former group managing director of the NNPCL, on its watch list. The former NNPC boss was placed on the watch list over ongoing probe into $7.2 billion refinery turnaround maintenance. The EFCC is asking, how was this money spent? You took people, it was towards the end of 2024 that Mele Kyari took some persons, media people, and the board of the NNPCL around one of those refineries and said, oh, it's finally working. But right now they're all shut down, and none is refining fuel for the use of ordinary Nigerians.
Let me start off that. Welcome to Nigeria, where the more you look, the less you see. You recall that the former towards the end tenure of President Buhari, where the former aviation minister
Yes,
hired a
Hadi
plane from
Sirika.
Ethiopia. Yes, I had a plane from Ethiopia, and they branded it Nigerian Air or Air Nigeria or something like that, and it came in and said Nigeria now have an official air carrier. So that was the same to the NNPCL. And indeed, Nigeria does give us an abracadabra, just justify. I'm thinking that with that, the EFCC will look the other way and you'll have a backup to say that was where the money was spent on. How would you justify, paying, servicing or paying, so they say, paying workers and, maintenance for a refinery that wasn't working, and they had to, cajole Nigerians, do an abracadabra, a fiction, and come up with that. Oh, it started working, and they have all the refinery back online. Back up, and start to service Nigeria, and in no time Nigerians will feel the impact. And just 2 months down the line, or less than a month or two, then it's been shut down. That's the scam of the highest order. And it goes to show how our leader sees us, how they perceive Nigerians to be. I don't know if they think that they're ruling, or I'll use the word ruling because they're not leading us. They're ruling sets of dummies. If it's a country that works, I don't think they would allow a carrier to leave the shores of the country. Well,
allow him leaving the shores of the country, and now they're saying they are putting him on the watch list. This is what many Nigerians have been asking for. This is what many. In fact, when he was still in office, there were groups of people going to National Assembly to protest and then saying arrest Mele Kyari, probe him for corruption, probe him for certain missing amounts.
Because the truth is, there's so many allegations leveled against him. With a lot of investigation being done, I wouldn't want to pry into the investigation of the ESCC, but with the one that we can see that, a lot of billions of dollars being spent, millions of dollars ranking to billions spent on, bringing back the refinery back online and, back up, and the refinery cannot be seen to even work for 6 months. That's a slap on our collectiveness. That's a slap on us as Nigerian. That's a slap on our intelligence. So I think that it just goes to tell you how deep the corruption in the system is. Like they said, that it's not just a one-man thing or just him. Of course, it can't be done by him alone. Of course, there are a lot of associates, a lot of officials who are involved in the whole scam, in the whole fraudulent act and all that they did. But if it's, like I said earlier, if it's a country that works, that seems to be working. You find that, it won't, from the day it's been sacked, he should have been arrested. And
why do you think it took them this long to get to Mele Kyari, though? We've been hearing reports that some of his close associates who work with him were arrested, and they are being grilled over the amount used for turnaround maintenance for these refineries. Also brings to mind the Yaya Bello issue. You recall the EFCC boss saying if Yaya Bello is not prosecuted, that he will resign. Up till now, we've not really seen anything.
For Mele Kyari, I think the ESCC, I think they are learning very hard in the hard way, not to come up with media trials to make sure that they put their facts and, they have all their facts, in check, and of course, I believe for their facts and all in check, so they could, when they launch, they have all the investigation being done, and of course, they have all the proof to charge the case to court. But I think, taking them that long, it's not just something you do based on allegation, or you do based on speculation, or you do based on what they say, or one man say, or a group of people say. There must be facts, there must be proof to show your allegations. So that's what EFCC work with. They don't just work with what you or what the public thinks that, oh, this person did this. Okay, if it is this, okay, right now, why don't you bring forth your facts, your proof to show that, yes, this happened and all. That is what I see. But I think that before now, I believe that the EFCC, like they said, they've been on the case and they've been, gathering all their proofs and all. So, but that once someone is in power, it has all it takes to, to kill or to trample down on any investigation if he feels that they're after him and all that. And you won't be surprised that he has some informants inside the system who are perhaps maybe feeding him and telling him how things are going. So he has everything mapped out. Well, we just hope that whatever the case may be, at the end, we'll see justice being served. We'll see that, of course, he too will be given a fair hearing to defend himself before a competent court, and of course, with their facts and all that being brought forward. And I think the justice will let it be seen to be served. I do not see that. Just like every other cases we find in Nigeria, it's just for him to dance to the tune of those in power, and before you know it, you just be told that they settled out of court, or perhaps maybe the case will just be, adjourned to further notice, and it dies off. So, but as it is now, I think it's not on the good book of the government in power, and
I think that's the reason why the EFCC is going after him. If he were in the good books of the current administration, they wouldn't be going after him.
I want to play down on that, because we've seen cases of politicians that have been alleged to have looted the public funds while in office, and on them, decamping to the ruling party, you just find out that the case just goes into oblivion, and then it just becomes one of those stories, and you find out that the person in question was only singing the praises of the current administration, and it becomes the friend of the house, and nothing happens to him. So, if he plays the balls right, we all know we all see what happens in the country. He plays the ball right. Don't be amazed don't be surprised that it's just happened, and they'll just play it on the tune, and everybody will just go and act as if everything is normal.
Just yesterday, a court in Abuja ordered that 4 of his accounts be freezed until the EFCC is able to ascertain, that he was not involved in any fraudulent activity relating to the monies that were released for turnaround maintenance. But should we actually blame from the releasing? Because these are funds that have not been working. Why do we keep releasing funds for their maintenance? Is it time to pack this up? Is it time to sell it off to anyone who is willing to buy?
I also saw in the news that I think the government is willing, wants to sell it off to private investors. I don't know. I believe that talk is ongoing. Well, it's alarming, and it saddens my heart when I hear some things that you begin to wonder: are we human beings? How do we reason from the back or the front? Because how would you be maintaining something that's not working, and you find out so much money that has been budgeted towards maintenance, paying staff salary for something that is not working? So why are they there if indeed it's not working? So there's so many questions that needs to be answered. There's so many so many stories we are not hearing. There's so many things that we just see, but it's deeper than what we see. Nigeria is a very complex country and a complex state that there's some things that you hear that sometimes even the media are not privy to. But when you hear them, come out, you begin to wonder, how do you justify some billions of naira, millions of dollars being spent on refinery that is not working? You can but only wonder. How do you even come about that? How do you, those money that's being spent, and you see that they tell you maintenance, they tell you for staff salary, they tell you for so many things, and put some stuff to it, some figures to it, all goes to some people.
So we should not just blame the former boss and his close associates, but those who decide to release funds for refineries that have not been working for years.
It has always been the way it is. These are projects. You see a lot of abandoned projects, and when you go to the books or you go to the budget, you find out that there are money allocated to those projects that have been abandoned, and it goes to some individuals. Some individuals are the one, pocketing those money because to service them. Because how do you think they launder money? How do you think they settle some quarters? They settle them from all those stuff. So that is how it has been. So you can't, that's why they say that when you get into the system, it's deeper than what you see on the outside. It shrinks your hand that if you are not careful, it's either you bow out or you join them. That's just the way it is.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Victor Atewe, for joining me on the World News at 12 today. I do appreciate your presence, your input, and your analysis.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do have an amazing day. You have been listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll now go to our sister station in the capital city of Abuja to take the news from Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja.
Thanks for staying with us. These are the latest developments from the nation's capital. I am Nkamiang John. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has denied claims by local contractors that his administration owes them over 5 billion naira. On Monday, some contractors staged a protest at the minister's gate, alleging that the FCT administration is indebted to them for projects already executed. But Wike, through his senior special assistant on public communications, Larry Olayinka, dismissed the claims, insisting that the debts arose from irregular contract awarded by civil servants without ministerial approval. He explained that since assuming office, he has not awarded any new contracts, but has instead cleared a 10 billion naira backlog inherited from his predecessor. Speaking on Tuesday during the commissioning of Phase 2 rehabilitation works at the Low Usman Dam in Usafa, the minister described the protest as blackmail allegedly orchestrated by corrupt officials using hired demonstrators. Wike maintained that his administration would only honor properly awarded contracts backed by available funding. He also condemned the practice of splitting projects into small sums, saying it was a ploy to siphon funds without delivering meaningful results. The Federal Capital Territory Universal Basic Education Board has launched a 2-week reality show-styled debate aimed at tackling the rising number of out-of-school children in the FCT. The initiative, tagged the 2025 head-to-head school debate, began on Thursday at the board's headquarters. Chairman of the board, Hassan Suleiman, said the program is designed to promote government's policy on free and compulsory education, with a special focus on encouraging girl-child enrollment. He explained that pupils from primary and junior secondary schools are being tasked with identifying out-of-school children in their communities and reporting them to their head teachers or principals. As part of the show, students will also visit rural areas to engage with young girls and encourage them to return to school. Also speaking at the event, Jume Amadu, described as the mother of the head-to-head show, said participants were carefully selected through a competitive process across the 6 area councils of the FCT. Members of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency Multipurpose Cooperative Society say they will stage a protest at the Ministry of Defense in Abuja tomorrow over alleged harassment and forceful seizure of their land by the Nigerian Air Force personnel. In an interview with journalists on Tuesday, the group alleged that in 2023, armed Air Force operatives invaded their 13.5-acre property at Ulumi Village, Idu, in the Federal Capital Territory, driving away property owners and detaining some members. The cooperative maintained that the land was legally allotted to them by government after all financial obligations had been met, including compensation to the host community and clearance from relevant agencies. Chairman of the cooperative, Emmanuel Odo, expressed shock that despite these steps, the Air Force moved in and began occupying part of the property in defiance of legal procedures and an existing court order. The members say tomorrow's protest at the Ministry of Defense is aimed at drawing attention to what they describe as illegal encroachment on their land. Relief has come to motorists and commuters on the Abuja-Lokoja Highway as the Federal Road Safety Corps (FRSC) has successfully cleared the traffic gridlock that occupied and crippled movements since Sunday. The FRS, working with the Federal Ministry of Works and construction firms, opened a second lane and created an alternative route to ease congestion, particularly around the Koton-Kafri axis. Kogi Sector Commander Kamar Sukwam confirmed on Tuesday that the move has restored smooth traffic flow on both lanes between Lokoja, Katunkarfi and Abuja. He explained that vehicles were diverted to a partially constructed lane to reduce the backlog with support from the Kogi Sector Command, Katunkarfi Unit Command, Corridor 3 and military personnel. Commander Sukwan blamed the gridlock on lane violations, driver indiscipline and impatience, especially among small vehicle drivers. To avoid a repeat, more FRS operatives have been deployed on highway patrol and traffic control, with personnel placed on red alert. Motorists are being urged to maintain discipline, obey instructions and drive responsibly to prevent a return of the chaos that left travelers stranded for up to 10 hours. Those are the latest developments from the nation's capital. I am Nkamian John.
Many thanks for staying with us. That was the news from our sister station in Abuja, Voice of the People, 96.1 FM. And that is a wrap on the world news at 12 today. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP 903 FM for coverage of your live event and brand news mentioned in our news bulletins. Do send the mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. Matters will be coming up shortly.